All right, guys, what's going on? We got another Monday Night Raw in the books. Another Monday's behind us. And so now you guys get a review of Monday Night Raw. You already know how this is. Let's get into it. John Cena opens up the show. Goddamn, there we go. There we go. Counter's already at 1. John Cena opens up the show. And I thought to myself that he does this because I was thinking to myself, like, yo, like, why is John Cena always opening the show? Like, wouldn't he be main event? And then I realized he's in to do what he has to do, and then he's out of there. So, hats off to you, John. He continues more of the same, pretty much as last week. He runs the people down. He calls them horrible people. He says that he does not like... he doesn't like how they've been treating him. He gave us his biggest idea, which was the spinner title at the time. He says we crapped on that, and he does not, he doesn't really like that. He also says that if you look up negative reviews on the spinner title, you'll see exactly what he's saying, which I kind of laughed. I found funny because if you look at negative reviews about anything, that's all you'll see. He basically says that he wants to take wrestling away from the people, wrestling away from the fans. And then this struck a chord because he also said, wrestling is all we have. And as I sit here trying to make a YouTube video about wrestling, John, you're cutting it real deep, brother. One day you'll see this and you'll understand that you made that little boy cry. I know he went home and cried after. And you might make me shed a tear, man. Cut it out, John. Cut it out. He continues to run the fans down. Says he's going to take wrestling away from us. He's going to be the last real champion. He's going to make everybody forget about Ric Flair because they're both tied at 16 world titles apiece right now. And if he wins his 17th, that's going to be a massive milestone. I don't think we'll live to see anybody beat that. He gets interrupted by Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is coming out. Amazing entrance as always. Cody Rhodes' entrance is so dope. Fans were really into Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes goes to the ring and he basically says, yo, John, like, I know you said you were going to take the title away from them, but you do realize you got to go through me first, right? Cody Rhodes goes, you know what? Let me take this championship. He puts it down on the mat. He starts unbuttoning. Cena looks like he's getting ready to fight. Cena leaves. Classic heel 101. Never give it to him when they want it. So John Cena clearly has this down pat, although it's been like 21 years or something like that since he's last been heel. Cena leaves. Cody stays in the ring. Cody lets him know that just like you're leaving empty-handed right now, that's the same way you're going to leave the WrestleMania match, and it's the same exact way you're going to walk out the WWE, because you ain't leaving with this. You're going to leave empty-handed, baby, empty-handed. That's the end of that promo. Next, we got the Usos. Whoa, a little bit of a spoiler there. So it was supposed to be Jey Uso and a mystery partner versus A-Town Down. Jey Uso's making his entrance, and beside him, he didn't even get his own entrance. He kind of just ran down the ramp, which was a nice touch. It was Jimmy Uso. So this is the first time that the Usos are in a proper tag team match. For the first time in about, I think Michael Cole said a year and a half. And that's when they defeated, when Jey Uso pinned Roman Reigns. It was the Usos versus Roman and Solo Sikoa, if I'm not mistaken. So during the match, one of the things that I found funny, Waller hit a move. He went to hit a move, but it was reversed into a Samoan drop. Cole missed it. I guess he thought Waller hit his move. And Pat McAfee called it out immediately. He goes, Michael Cole goes, oh, he hit the sling blade. And Pat McAfee kind of goes, oh no, it was a reverse Samoan drop. Michael Cole goes, oh, it was a reversal. Good for Pat McAfee. He's really taking to the announce team. And I really like Pat McAfee on the announcement team. Good for him. Essentially, the match ends. We get a pop-up spear from the Usos. Then they hit the 1D, which if you've been watching it for a while, you've been watching wrestling for a while, you know the 1D is just a 3D. The 3D has been my favorite tag team move of all time. So it's nice to see it being brought back. Post-match, they're celebrating on the ropes. Jimmy Uso celebrating on one turnbuckle, Jey Uso celebrating on the other, and almost as if out of frame, you kind of see Gunther drag Jimmy out. He drags Jimmy outside of the ring. Jey Uso and Gunther are going at it. Big brawl going on. Jey gets the better of Gunther. Jey goes for a spear and he kind of trips up. Like, I don't know if you guys remember last week when he went to dive over the top rope and it looked horrible. Again, I mentioned Top Dollar. It just looked horrible. I understand these things happen, but that's who I thought of. But anyway, this week he goes for the spear. He trips. So I guess the whole angle is now is Jey's in his head, which we'll see a little bit more of later. He slips. Gunther takes advantage of it, beats him down. Jimmy Uso gets into the ring with the steel chair, runs Gunther off, and that's the end of that. Backstage, we get a Judgment Day promo with everybody except Finn Balor. They weren't really talking about much. Raquel Rodriguez has a Intercontinental title match later on that night, so they were just hyping her up. Carlito bites an apple. Nothing really going on there. We got an El Grande Americano video package. Now everybody seems to think it's Chad Gable. I, for one, think it's Rikishi. Maybe he just slimmed down a little bit. He's looking good. You know, he doesn't have on all the pounds that he had on before. So we'll see with the eventual unmasking. Up next, we get Raquel Rodriguez versus Lyra Valkyria, pardon me. There's a part in the match where Lila, she jumps off of the ropes, and I swear Raquel Rodriguez almost kicked her soul out of her body. It looks so devastating, man. Shout out to these women. So the match goes on. Liv runs some distraction, you know, typical heel 101. She doesn't get the better of Raquel, though. Sorry, of Lyra. She doesn't get the better of Lyra. She's trying to help her girl Raquel. There we go. Lyra essentially hits Liv with a drop kick outside of the ring. Raquel Rodriguez turns around into a small package pin. She rolls her up. That's the match. We still have the current Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria. Post-match, we get Liv and Raquel beating down Lyra, and Bayley runs out to help Lyra. She evens the odds, so we get that. The good guys run the bad guys off. You know how it goes. They even up the score. But one thing I found cool, at the end of the match, Bayley picks up Lyra's title and hands it to her. I think this is going to be a little bit of foreshadowing, and I do think that Intercontinental Championship looks good on Bayley. Here's where we get backstage with Jimmy and Jey. Basically, they're just sitting in a corridor or like a hallway. They're sitting on some steps. Jimmy's basically asking Jey, like, yo, like, what's going on with you, man? First, you had that thing last week where you didn't make it over the top rope, although you've been hitting that dive pretty much your whole life. This week, you slip up. You had the kill shot. All you have to do is hit him with the spear. You slip up. What's going on with you, bro? Jimmy basically says, yo, you got Gunther coming up, and you can't beat him. Jey understandably gets up. He's frustrated. He's heated. He says, yo, like, I know I haven't beaten him so far. I know I'm 3-0 against him. And right away, I was like, bro, he's really in his head. You've never beaten him. You're 0-3 against him, which Michael Cole called out later on. But Jimmy's still trying to talk up his brother. He's like, bro, you cannot be this version of yourself. You will basically get killed against Gunther. I need the right-hand man, Jey Uso. I need the Jey Uso who was basically running the bloodline at one point. I need the Jey Uso who won the Royal Rumble. That's who's going to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. As a matter of fact, and then Jimmy Uso gets up, he turns around the corner, and I guess he starts the cutscene with Gunther, who was just standing there for whatever reason. Jimmy goes to Gunther, yo, you, me, next week. Gunther goes, fine, just don't slip up like your brother. And I swear, Jimmy slapped Gunther like Travis Scott slapped Cody Rhodes. I don't know how Gunther smiled this off. I would have been heated. I feel like Gunther is gonna destroy Jimmy next week. We get Penta and Dom backstage, and Dominic Mysterio is basically saying, we want you in the Judgment Day. We realize you have an Intercontinental Championship match later on, you know, with some help, with some backup in your corner, you might be able to win that title tonight, bro. Just think about it, man. Just think about it. We also get New Day, a backstage promo with New Day and Adam Pearce. They're basically saying, yo, we're the greatest tag team of all time. We're not on the WrestleMania card. We demand a title match. We need to have this title match at WrestleMania. Adam Pearce looks like he's going to lose his damn mind. He's been going through it the whole night. Xavier Woods says, yo, calm down. Like, take your heart medication. Without even thinking, Adam Pearce goes, oh yeah, I will. Just bring me a glass of water. That same segment, Bianca Belair basically storms in. She and Adam Pearce are going back at it, back and forth. And this is where she finds out that next week in the title match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, she's going to be the special guest referee. Bianca goes, I don't know how to do no refereeing. Adam Pearce goes, well, you got a week to find out. So this guy definitely has his plate full. Now we get Dragon Lee versus Grande Americano. Americano hit a suplex from the ring apron to the outside of the ring that I thought just looked devastating. I don't know how these two guys got up. Following that, we get a big knee from Lee to Americano that looked vicious, kind of similar to the one that we saw earlier with Raquel, but obviously now a knee instead of a boot. And I thought to myself, this is a really hard-hitting match for two high flyers. Usually it's like Hurricane Ranas and flipping off the top rope and flipping outside of the ring. There was plenty of that, but these guys were just going at it. It was nice. It was actually probably my favorite match of the night. Americano takes off Lee's masks. He gets him in the ankle lock. And as Lee's covering his face, he basically has no choice. He just has to tap out. That would have hurt even with a mask on. Now you factor in the fact that he's trying to cover his face. I think he just tapped to get the hell out of there. Following this match, we got CM Punk. He goes to the ring. Essentially says that Roman and Seth have to go because they're always getting in his way. They're just been a nuisance. He mentions that every time he wants to do something, it's either one of them getting in his face, so he needs to take them out. Punk says that Roman's wise man, Paul Heyman, isn't only his wise man. And again, the seeds are being planted with maybe a Paul Heyman turn. I think Paul Heyman is maybe going to side with CM Punk at WrestleMania. That may be what the favor is. Punk might have said, yo, if I get to WrestleMania, I need you to guarantee my win. We'll see. Essentially, Punk ended this promo by saying, I brought you two into the WWE, which he did. The Shield was his idea. That was Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. So he brought them in as a trio, and he says, you know what? I can't wait to take you guys out. That was a nice little reminder. I like callbacks of stuff like that. Here we get Penta versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Carlito and Dom make their way to the ring. And this plays back into the segment earlier when they were asking him, hey, you should join the Judgment Day, man. This is going to be nice for you. Essentially, the match ends in a disqualification where the Judgment Day just overwhelm Penta. They're beating the crap out of him. They're knocking him around with a steel chair. And there's a part in this match where Penta gets handed the steel chair. I don't remember by which member of the Judgment Day. It might have been Dom. I think Dominic Mysterio gave Penta the steel chair and was like, yo, time is now. What are you going to do? You hit this guy inside with us, or you do what you need to do and you rock it solo. But you got to deal with us in the background. So Penta holds the chair for a bit. He's building anticipation. He's looking at Breaker. He's looking at the crowd. He throws the chair to Dom, kicks Dom in his face. He's made up his decision. He's not joining the Judgment Day. Penta and Braun Breaker, they're fighting them off. They're fighting the Judgment Day, but it's just too much, especially with Finn Balor. I didn't mention the Judgment Day. Finn Balor wasn't out in the ring earlier, and so Penta and Braun get the upper hand until one of them get hit with a steel chair by Finn Balor, and they just basically leave Penta and Braun laying. Judgment Day stands tall. Raw ends. This kind of felt like a quick watch, and it makes sense because I was looking back at it, and I'm used to Raw being 3 hours. This Raw was about 1 hour and 44 minutes. It was kind of a nice we're in a weird time right now with this European tour because Raw started at 4 and it was only an hour and 44 minutes. I don't know. How you guys feeling about the new switch? How you guys feeling about the European tour, the times? How you guys feeling about the crowd compared to maybe Canada or the American crowd? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments. That's one more Raw in the books, and that's one more review in the books. I'll see you guys for SmackDown. Peace.